Hello guys, in this video we will see how we will be able to access the store procedures using Entity Framework Core. Store procedure is one of the best feature of the relational databases. Store procedures offer the pure database centric application development where the core database logic that we add it into the store procedures, and since they are the members of the database, they resides compiled in a database, they are highly optimized. This is the reason in the database centric applications store procedures are very important and then they are frequently used. Now coming back to our .NET system, where when we are working with data access, it is highly recommended that we should make a use of Entity Framework Core. Entity Framework Core is the Object Relational Mapping (ORM), which is lightweight, cross-platform, and very powerful. And this offers us an enhanced way of performing the database operations. Now what if that we want to make a use of the store procedures for the database access through the Entity Framework Core? Then how we are going to interact with it? Not only that, what if that our store procedure throws an exception and we want that exception to be captured in our Entity Framework Core or in our .NET application? How we are going to do that? It's a challenging thing. Rather, we should say that over here, this challenging thing has been easily addressed by Entity Framework Core. So let me directly jump to the code part of that. This is my ASP.NET Core API application. I'm opening this SQL file and here I do have store procedures. So I have store procedures for create, get all, get, update, create, and all those. I do have it. So in this create, I'm going to create a new department record over here. This is what my store procedure implementation is, and this is using the try catch block. So if somewhere something goes wrong, for example, my department number is a primary key. So if the primary key is wrong or it is duplicated, then the exception will be thrown and then it will be raised as an error. And this is what that we need to basically catch it. Okay, and .NET Core. This is what that we want to do it. Similarly, then we have the store procedures for get all, right? Reading all the data, all records from department table. We are having the get by ID. Okay, and we also have the code for update and delete. Okay, this is what my delete it. So the store procedures are there with my database. Then what I have over here is that, like in my API project, right, the necessary packages for Entity Framework Core are installed, like Microsoft.Entity Framework Core, then SQL Server, Relational, and all them. And with the typical database first approach, the DB context class has been created, and here I do have the department model table. That's what it is. Since it has employees, it also has an employee table altogether. Right. Now moving further on this, what I have over here is that, like I'm having the department repository class which implements iService repository. This iService repository interface is having typical generic methods for performing all the CRUD operations. Very recommended approach of working with Entity Framework Core with ASP.NET Core ecosystem. Now let's go for the repository class. Here the injection of the company context has been done. And then I'm using a typical try-catch block over here where now I'm making a use of the from SQL raw method of the DB set. What is this method is? This method accepts a string as an input parameter, which is either a select statement or I'm now putting the store procedure name over here. So this is what my SQL statement altogether, exec, that is execute, and the name of the store procedure. Now let me right click on this from SQL raw and take you to the definition of it. Now the golden part of learning .NET is that the method has to be seen with all its parameters. So here this is an extension method for a DB set, right? It's taking the SQL, and then there is a second parameter. It's an object array which is actually the parameters. So suppose we are having the store procedures with parameters, then those parameters will be passed as an object array. That's what it is. So now let me go back to the code over here. We have the dbset.from SQL raw, and then I'm passing the get departments. Similarly for the ID, so get async method having ID integer parameter, I'm defining the SQL parameter. So if you are already aware of the ADO.NET, really great technology by Microsoft for data access, we had the SQL parameter over there. Now it is available to us as a part of the EF core over there, right? So if I right click on this and again take you to the definitions of this, we do have the SQL parameter class over there as a part of Microsoft.data.SQL client, the assembly. Okay, right. So this is again having constructor over there, and then we can have the information on that. So you know that typically when we are using the parameterized queries or with a database store procedure parameters, if I again take you back to the sp.sql, here we do have the by default parameters as input parameters. But we can also make the parameter as output parameter over there. We can make it as output parameter like that, output. So what happens is that to support with this, right, we can have the further definition of this. So we can say here the parameterized constructor, so parameter name and object value. This is what the overload that I'm using right now. But otherwise, you can also have use of the data type. It is highly recommended that you should pass the data type over there. So I can say that SQL DB type, right, dot whatever integer, string, binary, whatever that you want to pass, you can pass that. Okay. Then let me again go back. We have even the size. Now, if you are making a use of the string parameter, right, textual data, then it is highly recommended that you should pass the size. Okay, that is very important. Okay, so you have to do that. Then we are also having the source column, so that mapping with the table column is going to take place. And we also have some other parameters over there, so you can explore that, and then we can have even a direction, whether it's input parameter or output parameter, all the things that you can do it over here. So this is what that you need to pass to SQL parameters, and then this object you pass it as a second parameter over there, which is an object array, right? So this is how the parameters can be passed to the store procedure. Similarly, then I do have another method over there where now I do have multiple parameters. That is department number, department name, location, and capacity, and then this is how those parameters are passed here. Now, one of the more important thing that you need to keep in mind is that these parameter names must match with the parameters to the store procedure. So if I take you to this over here, I do have the parameter names. So parameter name, the type that must match, then only they will be accepted and then they will be executed. Now, if you see that I do have a try-catch block over there, right? The try-catch block. Okay. What you can also do is that since it is an SQL server, you can have the exception handling more proactive with the help of over here SQL exception. You can do that. Okay, this is highly recommended. You know that SQL exception, this is actually gonna handle those exception, right? Or it will look for the exception for SQL Server database. Okay, that's the thing. Similarly, I do have update here, so let me have again an SQL exception, right? As well as for delete. So for update also, I have these three parameters which I'm passing to the execute raw here. Now, important thing here, we do have the synchronous methods as well as asynchronous method, that is execute. So from SQL raw or execute SQL raw async. Correct. We have the asynchronous methods also. Okay. So this method over there will be again used to execute the right statement. Execute SQL raw async. Right. That's what that I do have over here. Right. And then this is it. So again, I'm going to make it as the SQL exception. Right. So this is the way that how we are going to interact with the store procedures from the entity framework core. So I'm saving this. Of course, since it's an ASP.NET Core API, right, I'm registering it over here. So this is my registration of the DB context. This is a registration of my DB department repository where all the CRUD methods exist over here, right, which I have shown you. And then further, right, I'm having the minimal APIs where the calls are made. Correct. That's the thing here. So now let me run this. So this is going to run. Okay. And over here, I'm saying get call. Okay, I have all the data. Similarly, let me copy this. And I'm going to enjoy the post call over here. Post. Let me remove the camel casing from this. Correct. And I'm going to click on execute. So see that like over there, the execute over here. So I have the syntax error right now here. So like that. Here again it is DPT name. So I have DPT number, DPT name, location and capacity. Clicking on execute over here and it's giving me the proper exception over there. Correct. The way that this can be handled. Then I'm going to make this as maybe 70 over there. I'll have, let's say, okay, and then something like that. Execute over there, and then this is gonna execute. Right. So this is the way that how we can make use of the store procedure access through the entity framework core. Keep one thing in mind that the store procedure being the very powerful mechanism to work with the databases for the database centric applications. When using the entity framework core, make use of the from SQL raw or execute SQL raw, and also make sure that the exception handling is been there present. Okay, right? Thank you very much.